Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hello and welcome to this episode of our show. This is your host, Keith Doherty. Today our special guest is Florida broker associate and real estate expert Shirley Weems of Waterman Real Estate out of Brevard County, Florida. Now, Shirley ranks as one of the nation's top 250 realtors in the country by Reltrends for 2013, 14, and 15. She sold over 1,000 units since 2007. She's also received the Quality Service Award from 2007 to 2013, the Centurion Award for Volume and Sales from 2010 to 2013, and Top Producer Award since 2007. She's a residential, relocation, short sale, and REO certified. When she's not working real estate, she's also featured on AM radio financial news talk show with Michael Terrio of the Terrio Group. And she has been featured as a panel member for the Women's Real Estate Conference. So with all that said, Shirley, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, Shirley, to start out with, if we could, what led you into real estate? Was it something that you always knew that you wanted to do, or did you kind of maybe stumble into it?
Actually, I definitely stumbled into it. I was previously a 9-to-5 employee. Actually, I was in law enforcement with the state of Florida, and that definitely takes its toll on you, and you work long hours and most depressing situations. So I actually took the opportunity when I had maternity leave to look into getting into something else. And real estate, believe it or not, is pretty easy to get into as far as licensing goes and testing and schooling. So that's how I fell into it.
Excellent. That's interesting. Actually, I saw your history on LinkedIn and saw that, your background. My background's actually in law enforcement, too. I was an officer down I started with Fort Lauderdale and worked in Broward, and I actually was a reserve for the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. So I've had my hand in that other side of the industry as well.
Yes, and kind of funny story, I guess, but as upsetting and depressing at times as that business is, I thought that real estate would be the opposite, but lucky me, I ended up coming into real estate right when the market started falling. So I went from one depressive story to another depressive story, listening to everybody take a hit on their home values and trying to figure out what to do next. So that I really didn't benefit as far as going into something more lively and fun like I hoped.
Or at least, an up market that you can kind of ride a wave initially versus you getting kind of slapped in the face and like, oh, hey, we're at a downtime.
Yep.
So what kind of, personal attributes or traits or qualities do you think have most contributed to your success, and how do you think you've developed those?
Well, my parents, I come from a family of workaholics. My parents, their parents before them, stopping isn't even an option. So that, along with my own hyperness, I guess is the best way to put it, is a very good match. It's never enough for me. I don't know when to really quit, and that's what I was always noticing in real life. When you're on the same level as the folks beside you, everybody's making the same amount of money, everybody's getting the same amount of work to do, those who are better and faster and more efficient just get more work. The pay doesn't go up, the bonus isn't offered, the time you spend at work doesn't go down, you just get more to fill your time, and you end up doing more work than the person beside you making the same amount of money, and not really benefiting from your efficiency and your productivity. So I think that a commission-based job was right up my alley based on family and background and own personality traits.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely I agree with you there because it seems like you said you're rewarded for being efficient and effective with, oh great, here take this stack of and work on this for, or here take another case to deal with. So it's definitely where you're thinking, hey, I got all my stuff done, I met my responsibility. So actually you're probably making less money than the other person because you're doing twice the workload.
Correct.
Yeah, very, very frustrating. So what, obviously you've built success and you've had success in other careers as well as you've built it up in real estate, but what are some of the major adversities and maybe trials that you've had to overcome to kind of achieve the success that you've had?
Heartbreak is for sure something that you have to be able to deal with. Um, Being able to juggle your family is just huge. A lot of people that get into real estate don't realize that if your spouse doesn't support you, if your children don't support you, if the people around you don't support you, then that is not going to help you be successful by any means. Learning to be able to deal with spending time with people who months and months of phone calls, conversations, et cetera, and it leads to nothing. They end up possibly not pursuing that avenue, possibly using another real estate agent. Is something that you have to learn to deal with very, very quickly, or it's going to take a huge toll. And fortunately for me, my husband, amazing person who can deal with the fact that, okay, I can't be there, I'm running late. Can you go get the kids? I can't make it. Can you do this? Can you do that? It was just fantastic that I was able to have that. I would have never been able to do it otherwise.
Yeah, I think it's important to have that solid support system, like you said, especially when you have a family, that everybody's got to kind of be on board. That mom and that she's out and doing what she has to do, and people have to sometimes understand that that to be a little flexible, which I think that that definitely helps with your growth.
Mm-hmm.
So you've kind of mentioned a few things here throughout, though, but let's ask more specifically, what's kept you going despite these obstacles? Why didn't you give up? You obviously said you had a career before in law enforcement, and maybe you could have went back to that. But, when things get tough or things don't go your way, why don't you just say, yeah, maybe I'll just go back to the 9 to 5 kind of thing?
Well, can I give the obvious answer? Money.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is a job where you can make as much or as little as you want. And the truth is that there is nothing else I can even dream of getting into with the ability to make this much money. So in the end, unfortunately, I'm not doing what I love and what I wish to do, which actually goes back to law enforcement. If the FBI called me right now and said, we want you, but we're not paying you at all, I would say, no problem, I'll be there. I would do it for free. That is what I love. I love the courtrooms, and I love the legal world in general, all of it. My degree's actually in psychology, so initially that was my goal. But let's face it, I mean, easiest way to get to the end of the rainbow is acquiring the money that you need to get there, and real estate offers that if you're not afraid to work and go get it. So at this point, to walk away would be like walking away from a lottery ticket that I have figured out, and it wouldn't make much sense. So that definitely keeps me going, is the ability to keep making money, be smart enough to do the right things with it, put it away, and hopefully not have to wait till I'm 75 to retire, 65 to retire.
Yeah, maybe that's a law enforcement trait, because probably to this day, too, if I was to get that phone call, and my wife would probably even be like, okay, because I'd be like, all right, I'm going to Quantico for training, I'm gone. It's like, it's just, yeah, it's kind of one of those things that I feel, too, that if you got that phone call, you'd be like, all right, I'll be there, just let me grab a bag.
Yeah, I loved it. I very much do. That is my passion. That is That is what I love. So now I watch a lot of CSI and investigative television channel to get my excitement from there. I live
Yeah.
vicariously through the channel instead.
So kind of looking forward, I guess, what do you kind of see the vision for your career, say, over the next 5 years? Where do you see things going?
Honestly, my plan is to hopefully retire. I have been really, really fortunate in what seems to have been a bad time to start was actually a blessing. Because I started when I did, I was smart enough to go where the market was going, which led me into the foreclosure and the short sales, which then led me into meeting some very powerful, wise investors who have been doing this for 30 years, and their fathers were doing it for 30 years before them. And there's a very, very small handful of people who are true investors. And I got very, very lucky to meet 3 or 4 of them who actually took me under their wing and taught me more about real estate than just being a realtor. They taught me the investment side of it, being able to allocate money, knowing how to deal with rentals and funding and hard money and financing, just all these things that I've been able to learn and use. So right now I'm hoping to actually scale back in the next 5 years from the general real estate side and go into more of the investing side. I do run my own office. We have roughly 14 agents in my branch. So I really like training, and I really like watching other people that I train grow. And so I would really like to focus more on training them and letting them do the hard work so I can actually go home at 5 and not work 24 hours a day anymore. So that's my hope.
Excellent. Yeah, that definitely sounds great. And it's always nice to make that connection, like you said, with someone that kind of expanded your horizons and it helped you grow as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like you want to kind of pay that forward too, where you want to train new agents and train agents to have success, so that it's not just, hey, I got my license, I'm rich now, I can sell real estate type thing.
Correct. And I've always loved training, and I've always been a inter-office trainer. But a lot of times I'm so busy that I can't really be there. And I would like to scale back and actually be there.
Absolutely. So you kind of say you're going to scale back, but you may be looking to build up, one side of your business. So what do you feel the best way that you can market yourself so that you can, continually grow that side of your business?
Right now, when it comes to the area that I live in, marketing is not something that I fortunately have to spend a lot of money on or a lot of time on. I don't have a huge competition. There are a great deal of realtors in the area, but only a handful in our entire county that are full-time, high-producing volume agents. And so I've become pretty known, which is nice because my referral business and the folks that know me know how I operate and how we get the job done. I think right now all the signs around town that I have is really my number one marketing skill. Being able to just continue to get listings, to be able to continue to put those signs up in people's yards. In the end, I'm here for everybody, whether I even have agents from other companies who call me instead of their own brokers to get advice. And I love that. I mean, nothing makes me happier than that. And no amount of money in the world says more, than just somebody calling me from a totally different company, asking me because they know that I can help them. So that's really, I think, all the marketing at this point that I need, and I'm going to keep flourishing on that and keep being there for people who call me and my clients and colleagues.
So it sounds like maybe real estate coaching might be in the works down the road for you.
Yeah. Then you have to travel, and that goes back to 24 hours a day worth of work.
Well, not necessarily. Not if you set it up right. And this is we do a lot of this with my company. We do a lot of digital training.
Oh, that'd
So
be
you
great.
set up you set up like a training course, and then you could basically put together a whole system. And it's not necessarily one-on-one coaching, but it's basically relaying all that knowledge, the gold nuggets that you've acquired throughout the years, and packaging that up in like a digital product that people could log in and utilize so that they could get that same benefit as working with you, but not that you'd have to have one-on-one and you're flying all over the country trying to help everybody.
That would be fun. I would love to
Yeah.
get into something like that.
Yeah,
Because I always like to learn, and I always like to grow, and I think that's even with as many deals as I've done, every deal I learn something new. It's amazing. Something new always pops up on every deal that I didn't see coming, and that is a lot of fun for me. At the same time, I like getting into things that I've never done before. I'm getting more and more into commercial just because I want to learn about it. I don't want to stop learning. It gets boring if you stop learning. So that's part of what I like getting into now as well, is just learning more and more and more. So I would love to get into something like that because I've never done it. So that would be fun for me.
No, it sounds like it seems like you have the right personality too, because you're really passionate about it. Even though you say, yeah, it's not my core passion, but when you get talking about it, you can tell and hear in your voice that this stuff it means a lot to you, and it means a lot to you to know what you're doing and to try new things and be able to teach people things as well.
Yes. Yes.
So I think, and you've kind of mentioned this throughout, even in the beginning as we got started, and I think general perception, even from maybe me as being outside of real estate, it seems like that people assume that, oh, hey, I'll go, do a little bit of training, I'll go take this test, and now I have this license, and now I'm going to be rich as soon as I wake up from my pillow tomorrow. So what's the biggest misconception or myth that people have about working with a real estate agent?
Well, from the public's point of view, they think we're all the same. And that is, I guess, one of my biggest frustrations about real estate is this is the one position that I've ever had where my resume really doesn't impress anybody. I have rarely gotten a phone call from a person who did not know me, a client who did not know me in some shape or form, that said to me, I looked up your resume and it is impressive and I want the best to be on my team and work for me. Real estate is the one profession that seems to go a lot more on who do you know. And that is frustrating to me because I do well and I want to be rewarded for doing well, not just with money and with a prize, but with people actually seeing that and seeing that there's a difference. When you try to find an attorney, you look to see who the best one is, who's won the most cases. When you get ready to go to a surgeon, you want to go to the one who's done the most cases, who's familiar with your specific ailment. And in real estate, it doesn't seem to matter. If you have a real estate license and you're a friend of a friend of a friend who might have not sold a home within the last 12 months, makes no difference to the public. They're going to use that person because it's a friend of a friend of a friend. And that, to me, is something that I wish the public really understood and knew the difference between us. There's a reason that there's a difference between us. We have 3,300 agents in our county, and the same 40 or 50 do well. That's a really small percentage. And out of 3,300 agents, 1,700 of them last year did not even sell one home. So the public doesn't know this. They just think that we're all the same. And I wish there was a way to get that message across. It's no different than getting in a plane with a pilot who hasn't flown in 2 years. I'm not getting on that plane.
But unfortunately, you don't know that, like you said, a lot of people. But you can do a little research, at least on an agent. But unfortunately, that pilot, you're just at the mercy of. You don't even know, oh, they just got, upgraded to the main pilot yesterday. They have never flown. It's like, okay, I think I'll just wait. So.
That's right.
So this is kind of a hypothetical question that we have. If you were to get a call, let's say from a family member in another state, and they're like, "Hey, Shirley, say they're up north. We're sick of the weather. We're selling a house and coming to Florida, and they want to sell. What advice would you give them about selecting an agent that could best serve their needs? Kind of how you help your people. What kind of things would you tell them to look for to pick the best possible agent for them?
Okay. Well, here's the funny thing. If you are a buyer looking for an agent, I would tell you to go find someone who is fairly new, but with a trainer or with a broker who has a strong resume. The reason I say fairly new on the buyer side is because buyers need a lot of attention. They want to see properties. They have a lot of questions. They will call, and you need to be there to answer the phone. Somebody who is too busy or who is primarily a listing agent sometimes will have a hard time giving that person enough attention to make them feel warm and fuzzy. The truth is that you don't need that much attention, but they think they need that much attention. So if you don't provide it to them, they will spend time with you, but then they will end up using someone else anyway because they feel neglected. With that being said, that new agent doesn't know a lot about the financing and the inspections and appraisals and surveys and all the other fun things that come with buying a home, which is why I say they need to have a very strong trainer or manager or broker who themselves have been in the business and sold in the business, not just held a license for the last 20 years, but actually sells and actually operates and functions and does transactions. On the seller side, though, it's the opposite. If you're looking for an agent to sell your home, you need a listing agent who already has a lot of listings. The agent who has a lot of listings has a lot of people in the office to take the calls that come in on the home. A lot of agents in the office ready to jump up and show that property. A lot of backing, a lot of strong backing, the money to market, the connections to market. If somebody only has one listing, 4 listings, 5, 10 listings, chances are that person is not making a whole lot and doesn't have the connections that somebody with a lot of listings would have, which means they probably don't have the knowledge and the funds as well as the other agents in the office to help sell your property. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. That makes total sense. And I was just, because you kind of alluded to it a little bit before that, sometimes it's a little frustrating that you get a buyer and you show them all these houses and they spend all this time, and then all of a sudden you turn around and they just pick somebody else. Mm-hmm. It's like there's no loyalty, and it just, even though you invested time and essentially what you're losing money on other potential deals, and then they turn around and like, oh yeah, well, we just happened to see this house with Jane and we worked with her. And it's like, what?
Correct.
I invested all this in you. So, but versus somebody that's not as, seasoned as you, that wouldn't have all this other going on, they need people. They have time. Mm-hmm. They don't have their schedule filled up. So I think that could be beneficial, absolutely. But like you said, with the right level of mentorship, with the right brokerage behind them, so that you're still getting a good quality transaction out of it.
Correct. Because they do not teach you, believe it or not, in school, really anything that you need to know when you actually come out into the real estate world. So VA financing, FHA financing, for instance, have requirements and regulations. The house has to be in a certain condition. New agents tend to not know these things, tend to take clients to houses that would never qualify for this type of financing, yet they're taking you there because they don't know any better. just things like that that you really need to learn once you get out here. It's not something that you're taught in school. So that office manager needs to go over what do you have, what is your client looking for, what are they financed with, and then give them a rundown of how to proceed.
Excellent. So if somebody wants to learn more about you and what you have to offer, what's the best place for people to go?
I would tell you to Facebook me is probably the best, honestly, the best place. My Facebook page, if you look up Weems Team Brevard, and the phone number attached to that is 321-900-9900. And because of my name, I'm a rare internet Google search. So if you just searching my name, you will definitely find me everywhere. We have websites and things of that nature, but I much rather people call me if they get into buying or selling mode, so that we can really discuss their one-on-one situation. Everybody's situation is different. So I don't really like sending people to websites for information because it might not pertain to them, and all it does is confuse them further.
All right, excellent. Well, Shirley, I want to thank you, obviously, for taking time out of your busy schedule here today and to be able to share your business experiences with our listeners. And if anybody's interested in contacting Shirley, we're going to have information below this actual interview. You'll be able to have her phone number. I believe we'll have her email, and if we do happen to have a website. But like she said, the ideal thing is if you're serious and you're ready, especially in the Brevard County area, just give her a call and reach out to her, and she'll be able to help you. So with that said, everybody, thank you again for joining this episode of our show. We'll see you guys next time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.